G'day everybody, Andy Maher here. Welcome to The Blueprint, proudly brought to you by our friends at Hyundai. Joining me as always is former champion skipper Mark Maclure, and sellers this week we're lucky enough to have with us the Blues Footy Operations General Manager Andy McKay on the panel. Great to have both of you here. Macca, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Andrew.
Good to have you here. Busy time of the year, no doubt, for you and your mates behind the scenes in there.
Yeah, busy time of the year, both on and off the field. But yeah, we're certainly concentrating on the field at the moment, so we just need to keep on winning.
Well, where there's life, there's hope, and we're still there. The St Kilda game breathed a bit of life back into the campaign after the Collingwood loss, which was interesting in a lot of respects, wasn't it? Because it made people kind of stop and almost forget about what had come in the previous 14 weeks and look at us a completely different way.
Much aggressive action by the players. I thought that they attacked the ball really well, and the opposition, and they need to do more of it, continue it, because at some stages you watch them and they really were soft in areas, and I think that they need to keep pushing it, because North aren't a snack, I tell you.
No, we'll talk about it a bit later on. You want to get your leaders standing up and leading the way after a loss like the Collingwood loss, and it was St Kilda, but they've been 14 out of 16, 16 out of 18, I think they've beaten us previous to this match. Chris Judd's performance was outstanding.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
He gave exactly what you needed from him.
Yeah, Chris had one of his really good games for the year, which is great to see. And he's been solid without being brilliant, but certainly on Saturday he was brilliant, along with a couple of other guys up forward. Obviously, you see Lockie taking a good mark there. You know, Lockie and Sam Ray did very well up forward, which helped us enormously.
That's a brilliant kick inside. And that's exactly what you're after as a forward. You need to have centre the ball, not try and kick the fluke goal. And Juddy's, that was a good example of what you're supposed to do.
Macca, we know that he's signed for next year as well. Have you got a gut feel as to how much footy there is? Look, a lot of people are, you know, forecasting this and that and trying to predict when he's going to hang it up. Have you got a gut feel as to how much footy Judd's got left in him?
I think it'll depend on how we go. If we're successful or just slightly away from the big success that we're all after, then Juddy will keep playing. He's a competitive bugger and he's a very proud man, obviously. So I think it'll largely depend on how we're going.
You mentioned Lockie Henderson. We saw a bit of him in the Judd package, and there's some good news about him. We'll get to that in a minute. But he's providing as many problems as he is solving answers at the moment, because we need him at both ends of the ground. And
it's a good luxury to have, isn't it, really? He played his junior footy as a forward. He was drafted by Brisbane as a forward.
Yep.
But when he came to us, he really went down back almost straight away, and he's been very good down back for us as that second tall, and sometimes the first tall for us. But certainly, you know, people that have seen him play up forward of recent times can see that he is a very smart footballer and adds a bit of structure to our forward line.
Much improved player from when he first came across.
Absolutely. Remember, he's only 23 still.
Yeah, no, he's only 23, and he's now starting to move towards the ball. It opens up the forward line. He's doing the basics well. But the problem is we're going to need him down back. They got 3 tall forwards at North Melbourne, and they're hard to handle. Yeah,
North are going very well. You know, they played extremely well 2 weeks ago, and they were obviously disappointed about how they went last week, which has been highlighted in the press, of course. But as you mentioned, they've got 3 quality forwards.
Petrie, Black and Tarrant.
Absolutely. So we need, obviously, to think about that and a lot of depth with our 3 big guys down back. Obviously, Michael Jamieson will be up for one of them. Andy McGuinness will be up for one of them. Matty Watson's in contention, and obviously Lockie is in contention to play back or forward. So, yeah, there's some decisions to be made there.
How do you assess how do you assess Watson?
Matthew Watson is still developing. As you guys will be aware, the bigger they are, the longer they take to develop. Ruckman are usually the last to develop, and Matthew's played a lot of his junior footy in that sort of zoning off +1 type of position, whereas we're after a one-on-one
type player
game style now. So he's got to develop into that. And
he's still young too.
He's still very young, absolutely. He's only been in the system a couple of years. So you would have seen on the weekend that his strength is his delivery of the ball. His kicking is fantastic. So if we can use that and improve him in other ways, he'll be a good player for us.
The other end of the spectrum from him is Sam Rowe, and again, there's some news about him from a contract perspective. We'll get to it in a minute.
He was terrific.
His first half was really encouraging, wasn't it?
He took some marks. He looks like a pure kick, and that's a very big bonus for forward lines, because we've got some who can't, and Sammy Rose certainly can. This is a good mark, but see, he just doesn't. He's a 2-foot jumper. He can improve even more if he starts to learn how to actually change his jumping style. And that was a beautiful kick, straight off the boot and right over the middle. He's got some talent there.
Certainly right. We know if he marks the ball, he'll kick the goal. It's just a matter of him marking the ball. And That'll obviously still adapting to that. It's not quite as easy as it was for him in South Australia with Nord.
No.
And he was at Nord. He was sort of that long leading type of centre half forward or full forward. So you know, the Rewalt type of long leads. But whereas here he's sort of staying back a little bit deeper for us, so he can kick those goals once he marks.
I hope he stays in a while, because I think that the more he stays in, the more confident he's becoming himself, and that's the key to it.
Absolutely, and we all know his past is well documented, so he's making the most of every opportunity. He's an aggressive player too, and that's what we like about him.
Good. Let's have a look at some of the players who have been re-signed. There's great news with Lockie Henderson and Sam Rowe. Tell us the terms that they've agreed to stay or extend their stay at the club. Andy?
Yeah, certainly Lockie's extended his contract by a couple of years. Sam's extended his by one. You can see the other guys there. Chris has extended his by one. Andrew Carazzo another couple of years. Zach's actually extended his by 3 years, and Dennis a couple of years as well. So it's fantastic to sign up those quality players, and you know, we're rapt that they've decided to start Carlton.
So there's still a few to go, obviously. But you're the head of the footy operations department at Carlton, and there's very much a new look about the recruiting department. It's only been together for less than a year, and it's probably, from a resource perspective in terms of manpower, the most extensive that the club's ever had at its disposal.
Yeah, that's right. We've really put some resources into it the last 8 months, as you said. Shane Rogers leading the way there. Luke Williams has come over from Geelong, so we feel as though he should bring some good knowledge from Geelong. He's fitted in really nicely. Michael Jordan's added to it.
That is a coup. Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Michael Jordan.
Basketball background, but that's
his nickname's MJ too, would you believe? But, no, certainly not any physical specimen like the real Michael Jordan, but let's hope he can pick some players.
Slightly different, isn't it? The reason why we put that up is because I suppose the recruiting's been sort of bashed about in the last few weeks because of what we've seen on the ground and what's been exposed with some of the players on their foot skills and bits and pieces. I think it's fair that we divide what happened in the past with what's going on in the future.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was a real focus of mine when I first got here, to change that recruiting structure up, and that's been done, and we look forward to getting some really quality players in the future. And I think you need to be a little careful on how you judge the players, and you don't judge them on one game. I mean, obviously Collingwood was a terrible game for us.
It was a bad game.
A terrible game for us, and we lost. I think we lost a lot of supporters in that game, the way we went about it. But certainly we feel as though we've actually improved throughout the year, and that was the anomaly. On all our areas that we judge ourselves, we feel as though we've been building, and that let us down enormously, so we've got some work to do.
Let me ask you, what was your thoughts after it? You sat down as a group, obviously. You wouldn't have walked away and said, oh, well, we'll forget that one. You've got to talk about it and find out. What was your assessment?
Our assessment, we were very disappointed in how easily the game turned.
Incredibly.
We had a lot of the ball in the first quarter, and obviously Collingwood did too, but they probably missed opportunity.
Made a few blues.
But we dominated in that first quarter, except for the last minute and 48 seconds.
Yeah.
Then Jared went down, which is not an excuse, it's fact. He went down, which enabled Ben Reid to go forward. And Ben took a couple of really telling important marks, which got him up and about. And that just needed that little spark. And they went into that quarter-time break up and about, and we dwelled on it a bit, I think. And that was the disappointing part about it, because we were certainly in the game at that stage. It wasn't more than in the game, we were in front.
I wasn't so worried about Ben Reid. I was more worried about our midfield. In that game, we were smashed there. Absolutely destroyed. So whatever happens to Sam Reid, that's a result of what happens in the midfield. And Pendlebury was outstanding. Swan was sensational. Ball again.
Absolutely.
So those things, our blokes at one stage don't actually make a decision themselves. I'm going to get this bloke.
And we've prided ourselves on our midfield and our clearances this year, and we've beaten most teams in the clearances. But we were walloped against Collingwood. So it was disappointing. We had someone for Swan, to run with Swan, and Swan still got 42, which was disappointing.
You're talking about two of the... You know,
I mean, he's a premier player.
You are. You're talking about two.
You're allowed to get close to him.
The absolute elite in the comp. Hey, just getting back to the new recruiting staff, if it is fair to put a line through what was done before them and look at what comes, subsequent to their arrival. Let's have a look at the three national draft picks from last year. Jared Casey, we know, was picked up in the rookie draft, but these are the three boys we picked up in the national draft. We've had a look at one of them. We haven't seen Tamay and Graham yet. How are they tracking?
You certainly haven't seen Troy Menzel, how the recruiters saw him last year. He got injured late last year and was out for his finals. But Troy is a natural footballer, and I think we probably wouldn't have been able to pick him up if other clubs weren't put off by his previous injury. So he'll be very good off a half forward for us. He's a pure half forward flanker.
Good balance.
Very balanced player, left
Very
footer.
good balance, yeah.
Kicked 3 goals in a quarter against Essendon a couple of weeks ago for the VFL. So he'll be a real talent for us. Tommy Tomei is an excellent athlete. He can run all day. We're trying to encourage him to use that strength that he's got. He's actually a pretty versatile player. He's a half forward, wing or half back player. In the under-18 championships last year, he actually did a job on a couple of players playing backline for Vic Metro, and did a fantastic job. And the other one was Nick Graham. Obviously, Nick played in the under-18s grand final last year. They lost by a point. The talk of the town was if they actually won, he would have got best on ground. He's a natural footballer. He's not blessed with speed, but he knows where to go and he knows how to use it. He's a very natural footballer. He'll be on ball. Yeah, he'll be on ball. And we just love his work ethic. He hurt his knee during the year, but the way he goes about it in the rehab and weights and all that type of thing, he's back playing now, is just extraordinary. It's fantastic. And, we thought Juddy trained hard. Nick Graham's got him now.
This will be interesting to see their progress the next couple of years, because it takes that time to actually get your confidence up to play well.
It does, and it's a difficult one because people compare us with other clubs that have been blessed with talent over the past few years, and you get a player like Murdoch that plays for Geelong, and people say, goodness, where does he come from? It's his first year and he's playing fantastic footy, but he's actually been in the system for 3 years.
That's right, yeah.
And so he's had those good players around him to probably stop him from getting in the senior team, but teach him along the way. And then when he does get his opportunity, he knows the way to go about it. So that's the position we're in. As you say, Mark, we need to allow these players to develop over the next couple of years, but certainly want them to see football.
Murdoch last year was almost best in the ground in the VFL Grand Final, which how quick he was, and he blew him away. And it's no surprise that he's going pretty well now, I can tell you. Nick
Duggan and Jeremy Laidlaw, a lot of Carlton supporters want to know where they're at.
Yeah, certainly. There's been a lot of talk about Nick and Jeremy. Obviously, Jeremy hurt his knee last year with the patella tendon. He actually hurt it 3 times. It displaced, or subluxated is the technical term for it, but...
displaced will do.
Displaced. 3 times, which is really unfortunate. And he got the full job done on it eventually, which has held it in good stead, but I think it's hindered him a little bit, and he actually went in last week and got the screw removed because it was giving him a bit of grief. So that certainly hasn't helped him. When Jeremy was recruited initially, it was for that zone-off type of player. He was a great intercept mark and all that type of thing. He's not quick, we know that. His turning circle is not great. But we just need him to get over his knee, try and find that form and really develop his one-on-one game.
Andy, the national draft, someone's throwing up the #1 draft pick. What's your position?
Oh, we'd love him, absolutely. I think every team would. He's going to be very, very difficult to squeeze out of Greater Western Sydney. And it's going to take a lot to get him out of Greater Western Sydney, but certainly I think we'd be negligent not to have a go at him.
Every Carlton supporter advise you to have as big a crack as you can. And there's always advice for you, Macca, at times like this.
Sure there is.
There's always times. There's a lot of people who we asked out there. If you want to get involved in the show, you can send in your questions and comments via Twitter at #TheBlueprint or email the club with the blueprint in the subject line via blues@carltonfc.com.au. This week we asked you what type of player should Macca and the team be looking to recruit in the off-season. Courtney Lee Dale says a big defender, so Hendo can stay forward permanently. There's a bit of a theme that develops through this. Jason Afiaki believes a half-back flanker over 6'2", that is fast, but most importantly has good hands overhead and can kick. That sounds like Josh Bootsman to me.
Yeah, certainly Josh, we're hoping will develop into that player. Yep. He can play on a tall. He's 6'1", 6'2" himself, but he's got long arms. He's almost got those Dustin Fletcher type of arms that can get to every contest. And as he develops, he'll get more confident in running off as well. At this stage, he's doing the real defence, but as time goes on, he'll be able to run off, and that's what we saw in his junior footy.
On Twitter, David Mardini says we need a key forward, plain and simple. That would probably be the #1 draft pick, Tom Boyd, if you can get hold of him. Sean Vincent thinks the Blues need a hard nut, a Brad Sewell type. Brad Sewell at his best, obviously. A key forward and a centre half back. That's all.
Well,
that's all.
The best forward in the comp, the best midfielder, and the best defender in the comp. That'd be fantastic.
Nice,
but certainly, he makes a good point with the midfielders. We like a bit of size. We'd love a bit more size around the midfield. We're playing North Melbourne this week. They've got good size around their midfield, so Murph's not the biggest guy going around. Andy Carazzo's not the biggest guy going around. So we need some decent size in there.
You mentioned North. Let's have a quick chat about North before we wrap it up.
Yep.
It's do or die for them. We know that. They really need to win this game. They've got a good record, 4 of their last 6.
So do we.
Against us. I know. We really need it as well.
It's do or die here.
We know what's coming our way. We know what's going to come back against us from North. It's a really good opportunity for the boys to stand up in the front of what's going to be
it's a great test for us.
Yeah.
We had to win last week and we stood up and won. We won convincingly. It probably wasn't the greatest game of all time. We'll have to play better to beat North Melbourne. As I said a couple of weeks ago, they were sensational.
They were awesome.
They blotted their copybook last week, but they're a determined team, North, and they'll come back really, really angry. And we have, no matter where we are on the ladder, we have great games against them. So
we don't beat them too often.
We haven't beaten them for a while. We used to beat them all the time. We haven't beaten
How'd you go last year, McKay, at Sellers at that game? How did you enjoy the
Didn't
game?
last long, actually.
Right.
I left halfway through the third quarter and I was followed by Robert Walls very closely.
But we'll have to be at our best, and the boys know
rightly so.
We'll have to be at our best. The boys know that, so we've got a great challenge ahead of us.
Good luck with everything, not only this Friday night, but all the other challenges to come. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks for coming in and talking about those guys, because that's really important. The youth of our club is very important.
Absolutely. We see it as a future, as everyone else does too.
Good on you, Andrew McKay. That's all we have time for on today's show. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time with that bloke next to me, Mark Maclure, as well. So catch us on Thursday, the 1st of August. Until then, have a great weekend. Enjoy the footy. Go Blues.